Hi lovelies, and welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
I'm across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where the span color people are actually coming for Gloria for giving a honest review on a company that deals with makeup accessories and all of that. And this actually got people reacting like, why would you come for her for giving a honest review concerning what has been happening in the beauty standard. I'm just going to roll, the clip as well as some of all the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section and let's dive into it.
A blush. A blush. A blush. A blush. A blush. I'm scared. Here's a zoom in. They all have a white base. None of these are gonna work on skin as dark as mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take it back to the lab.
This video is probably going to be controversial to some people, but I'm going to say it anyways. I keep seeing these videos of people just applying these products to their face. They're not blending them out. They're not using them necessarily correctly or the shade that's most ideal for their complexion. Because I'm trying to understand how a brand can launch 6 different shades with a variety of different colors, ideal for multiple different skin tones, how this is not inclusive. Lavender Lust is the main one that I'm seeing the most controversy, and I'm just wondering how content creators and makeup reviewers aren't thinking to use this to lighten up a blush that's too dark, or if you're extremely fair skinned. How do you think that this is not for somebody? I guess I'm just at the point where I'm so sick of seeing these subpar reviews get all of these views when there's people out there that are showcasing these products as they're designed to be showcased, and they're also using them with a little bit of common sense. Because I don't know who needs to hear this, that every single product of every single product launch is not going to work for every single skin tone. That's the purpose of a shade range. Not every shade range needs to have 10 different colors. If you have a variety of different colors, a variety of different depths, a variety of different undertones, I'm just confused at why this is bad. All right, so what I'm gathering from the comment section is that this image is what the issue is, and I completely disagree. I personally feel the biggest issue is we have massive creators just applying dots to their face and just telling their audience these don't work for me without actually showing how they look on their skin. Everybody needs to remember makeup is subjective. So what YSL is doing with this photo is showing what this product will look like on deeper skin. You can visibly see it's lighter than their complexion, but at least they're still showing what it looks like on deeper skin. That's inclusivity. Another issue that we have stirring up more controversy is we have other massive creators telling their audience they don't know who this would be ideal for, and also criticizing the brand for not being inclusive. So to be fair, they're not saying verbatim that it's not inclusive, but they're saying it without saying it. I guess this is where I'm getting at, is if you're a makeup reviewer and you see a product like this, why not showcase it how it's beneficial to your audience and not just shit all over it? Because there is a purpose for this in so many people's collections. I don't even own this product, so I don't know how ideal it is for formula for me, but I could look at this shade and be like, oh my God, this would be amazing to lighten up all of my deeper blushes. Or if I just want that hint of lavender in there, this would be perfect for that. But no, instead, let's shit all over it.
So there's a controversy over YSL's launch of a lavender blush that they marketed as universal. And a beauty content creator named Gloria did a review of the product, and she's highly melanated, and it did not suit her skin at all. And she called it out, and she had the right to call it out because there wasn't one shade in the whole assortment that was complementary to her skin. So it's part of a bigger issue. And you wonder, like, why, Rosalind, you are a fashion content creator, would you have a say in this? Well, before I was a fashion content creator, I was a beauty VP of marketing for many companies, including Marcel, including working for Coty, which is a multinational. But YSL is part of L'Oreal. It's harder to understand when the company has the means to actually do the job. And there's so many steps along the way, and marketing works very closely with product development to launch, products. They do the brief to the product development people. They do the marketing. They do the product testing. There were so many steps along the way where they could have said, this doesn't suit highly melanated skin. We need to have a shade that is going to work on that skin. Or using the word universal when it obviously wasn't universally flattering. And they have the money to launch more shades. But, companies, when they're sitting internally, because I've been part of those conversations when I work for large companies, is there a large enough market opportunity to market these blushes to certain demographics? And if we determined that there wasn't an opportunity, then we didn't extend the shade range. This is a conversation that comes up frequently when it comes to foundation, to concealers, and now blushes. I can understand when it is small independent companies that don't have the financial means to really extend their shades. But we're talking about L'Oreal, which is a multi-billion-dollar company that has many, many brands. They definitely have the means to extend their shade range. And I think what Gloria gave was very constructive feedback. She should not be vilified for giving very constructive feedback back to the brand. As we all should be very honest when we get products and saying, does it work? I review products and say, does it work for mature skin? Gloria is reviewing products saying, does it work for highly melanated skin? And I think brands need to be open to receiving constructive feedback and not shy away from that. You can't have a runway in Paris Fashion Week and claim we're all worth it when some of us are not worth the time. So I think all brands need to do better and listen to constructive feedback. Thank you, Gloria, for giving your feedback. I hope you feel better, and I hope the brands are listening.
Why did YSL get so political with their blushes? And how this is really history repeating itself on some level. So before I talk about the politics, a number of creators got this pack of universally appealing blushes. As Gloria said, it has a white base. And so no matter how much you blend, that white undertone will always shine through, which for almost everyone makes it unflattering, except for creators like this who are in fact albino, a biological condition that is extremely rare. But for most people, this isn't gonna work. So why do they produce this? So when I first saw this video, I immediately thought of fauvist art, and actually a lot of modern art where people are depicted not realistically, but more evocatively, more emotionally. And a lot of the modern art of the early and mid 20th century was created in response to social uncertainty. But those bright colors by the mid 20th century to being basically a commercial expression instead of a political expression. So what does this have to do with YSL? We're in a point in history where most businesses get that diversity is a moneymaker and they want to make money. So like the art of the 1960s, they employ those colors, the happiness, all that good stuff. But they frankly don't want to do the emotional work on their business model to actually make those things work. So they go with the status quo, formulating as they will without really understanding the need or the ways to meet that need. It's all surface level, but since they haven't done the good work, it doesn't even look good on the surface. There is no such thing as a makeup that looks bad. What I mean is, the idea of beauty is socially constructed and very much about a moment in time, like this sort of consumptive look of very bright pink cheeks in the Victorian era, and then that same sort of brightness in the 80s, which was really about excess. But there is no singular, universal, timeless sense of what makeup is good. Instead, it's about a culture growing up around a certain trend. And I actually think what happened with this YSL blush, which has a very white base and therefore sits on everybody's skin, including people who are very fair. I've seen comments with people saying, I am like a Victorian child. It doesn't matter. It will still sit on your skin and reflect light. It is white. Even the fairest porcelain skin tone people will have this effect with this YSL makeup. Because I hate to break it to you, Even people who are white are not actually the color white. And I actually think what YSL did was some trend casting, as it were. There's been a lot of nostalgia makeup, things that are really hearkening to the 80s and 90s. And I think they were trying to go for something like this that's meant to sit on top of the skin and be extremely obvious. Except for that, when this came out, people moved up to that look. It didn't just pop up all of a sudden. But I think there's another part of it. With the trend casting, there has been a move against DEI. We hear it in the news all the time. And so really powerful voices like Gloria is saying, listen, I get some of you all are pretending like that was just a trend, but wider society isn't going to handle it. We want inclusivity. And so she was a powerful activist for it, against forgetting that people don't want to go backward. And with anybody who's trying to do a good thing, there were bad actors menacing her as a result. So if you didn't understand this YSL blush, is it because you don't understand K-beauty? Hell no.
Blush that just dropped when they know nothing about what it's actually for. I keep seeing on my FYP, oh my gosh, this blush is so pale, it's so white.
That argument makes no sense. I think we forget that beauty is incredibly socially constructed. And companies come up with products to fill what is the perceived need. Now, certainly they're trying to push trends, but they're not doing it in secret because that's not how marketing works. And it doesn't happen overnight. The way that trends work is often makeup companies look to people who might be ahead of the curve. You know, like a New York style maker. Maybe somebody on TikTok who's doing something different. But then when they sell it to wider audiences, as this creator points out, they show you exactly how it should look and who should use it. And given the cachet of K-beauty, they would have been real open about it. But they masquerade it as a inclusive brand, an inclusive product, and their PR company sent it out to people who really the product doesn't work for, and actually highlighted how uninclusive the product is. And actually, I think that goes back to the fact that the company doesn't have a particular respect for their audience, thinking that they had done a good thing using black model. They must have photoshopped those images. And that these people would be so thrilled, these influencers, to have YSL, they would give it a pass.
You know what I think is crazy is that it's acceptable for people to say all these things about me or say my privilege is showing or that I'm not allowed to speak any things because of my skin color. How that's acceptable when I simply ask a question. I asked the question of how a shade range was not inclusive because other people are saying it's not. All of you are assuming that I'm talking about one specific creator. I'm talking about more than just one, of a variety of different skin tones. All I was suggesting was to pay attention to the quality reviews that are actually showcasing the products and applying them correctly. Not everything was pertaining to one video. I was talking about multiple. And when I say applying correctly, I feel like this is where it's like, okay, y'all are just taking it a different way. Alls I mean is they're actually applying them, like blending them out like you would with any other blush. I'm not going to disagree that I don't think that all the shades work for every single skin tone because I just don't think that's realistic. I don't feel that they're labeling these as universal shades. And I feel like that's where a lot of the misconception is with what I had said is people are confusing universal for inclusive. I'm not disagreeing that this shade is not ideal for deeper skin tones. Hell, there's a few of them that are not ideal for deeper skin tones. And I could recognize that a lot of you are saying that this photo appears to be photoshopped, which is what the real problem is. But that's not the problem that I initially saw and that I was initially talking about. If this photo is photoshopped, yes, that's a problem. It doesn't appear to be simply because you can still see the textures, but that doesn't mean that it's not. When I think of inclusivity, I'm not thinking of universal. I'm not thinking every shade's gonna work for everybody because that's not realistic. The purpose of the shade range is to find something within the range of this formula to best suit your skin tone and to work for your skin tone. Now to address the PR aspect, I see people saying, I don't know why they would send deeper complexions, this shade specifically. And let me just explain something from a content creator's perspective. A lot of the times when we're getting PR, we're not picking the items that we want. They send entire collections, especially when we're talking about massive creators with millions of followers. They usually get the whole range. And the brand just hopes that they showcase them. And especially when it comes to content creators with millions of followers, yeah, brands are not going to cherry pick on what they're sending them. They're going to send them the whole range, most likely in a custom PR box that's already accounted for. And the brands will just sit back and hope that these people showcase the shades or help influence their audience to buy them. Because don't think these PR teams don't know what they're doing. All of this controversy, it's just producing more sales. Now for the last thing, just to kind of wrap this up, I'm seeing all of your comments of I'm speaking over people. I'm invalidating people's experiences. There's deeper skin tones that these shades just none of them work for them. Here's my thing. As a content creator, I watch other people's videos to gain knowledge for my audience so I can pass the information along from the sources that it matters from. I'm reposting videos, so I'm very confused at how I'm speaking over people when I'm showcasing other creators that have a different complexion than me. Now I'm just sitting back and I think I'm even more confused because I really can't pinpoint what exactly the problem is. Is it the inclusivity? Is it the one specific shade? Is it the promo images? What exactly is causing so much chaos that makes y'all react the way that you do when I ask a simple question of how is this bad?
We exist in this really weird space at the moment where it kind of takes a creator of color to be racially discriminated against and speak out about that before it's actually brought to social media or before it's platformed or before we see this really broad conversation around it. And that kind of has to change. Like, it's 2024. There has been so much research, particularly in the last 5 years, that's really quantified and outlined this issue that I really hope to bring light to today. But we've still got like macroaggressions from the Youthforia launch earlier this year. For those that don't know, Youthforia, a small indie brand, launched a foundation that included only black pigment. We've also got microaggressions like shade names of foundations or shade names of any products that are targeted at brown and black girls. And it just blows my mind that it's 2024 and this is the industry that we're looking at and we're in many ways accepting. So today we're going to kind of unpack that. Let's define what we mean by black beauty. Lolly King wrote this brilliant article for Harper's Bazaar back in October 2021, where she brilliantly articulated how reductive the term black beauty is. King wrote, "Most of the black-owned beauty founders I spoke to launched their brands from a need to make space. Founder of Uma Beauty, Sharon Tudor, questioned, how do I create a space that is safe for everyone? How do I change this monolithic view of beauty and make beauty varied?" King went on, "She's right. The idea of monolithic beauty ideal is far from realistic. In fact, even the term black beauty is reductive, whereas it actually encompasses a broad spectrum of skin tones, hairstyles, and textures." I thought this just really brilliantly put how black beauty is kind of placed under these shackles of how we allow for it to be defined. And it's not even defined. It's just this catch-all term for anything that doesn't conform to this Eurocentric beauty ideal. And we don't allow for the same space as skin types or undertones or hair textures when it comes to black women. It's just black beauty. Here in Australia, or specifically for me today, Ghana country, the colonisation of beauty has built an incredibly exclusive industry where, again, you must conform to the white beauty ideal, or as First Nations beauty creator Rosie Kalina told Vogue, that as a minority creative, and even to a greater extent as a First Nations creative, Rosie has not found social media without its pitfall of others asking for representation of Aboriginality that they can understand. I almost began to internalise the colonial gaze and expectation that I have to perform my culture or to be accepted.
So I'm going to say what needs to be said about this YSL blush controversy. Those fucking blushes are ugly. They are ugly. I would not spend my coin on any one of those because honestly, the ones that actually kind of work for my skin tone, I could literally go to e.l.f. or Milani and pay a fraction of the price and it have more depth and it look way better on my skin, honey. Those blushes are not worth the price tag. You're paying for the name brand. That's what you're paying for. And for everybody that is attacking Gloria for literally doing her job and reviewing what was sent to her, why don't you stay the fuck out of black people's business? Because the ones that are attacking her, y'all are stay out of black people's business and go support the brand yourself. Go buy the blushes. There you go. Instead of tearing down another black woman, why don't you just go support the brands? Go spend your coins on that expensive, overpriced, ugly ass blush. And then problem solved, right? Okay.
This is an example of how broken, disjointed, and antiquated the beauty industry is inside and finally outside, because this is what the end customer is seeing. The problem doesn't necessarily lie within the fact that this exists. The problem lies within the fact that this was marketed to work. And really, our melanated queens were gaslit into thinking this is going to work for them based on the imagery and the words chosen to market it. Every single touch point of the development process, the supply chain, and the distribution, which is the retailer, had an opportunity to speak up. It is a collective failure. The first thing I thought when I received this in PR was they have to be targeting the Asian market. The reason I thought that is, well, because I'm the proud owner of not one, but 6 lavender blushes that have come from K-Beauty. So I know that lavender is hot in Asia. Yves Saint Laurent marketed this to us as a universal blush shade that works on all skin tones. There's the side of what we would consider some of the fairest human skin possible, which this blush looks really beautiful on. And then there's the other side of the spectrum, like Gloria's skin tone, South Sudanese woman, who's really carrying this inclusivity conversation on her shoulders. This is so much bigger than a conversation really about the beauty community. It's an issue of systemic racism, and this is an issue of diversity, equity, and inclusion, once again being in the back burner instead of at the foreground. This is a loose explanation of the process. But likely the ideation of this blush came from, well, none other than the insane volume of blushes that have launched this year in the liquid category. So of course YSL had on their pipeline to come out with liquid to powder, a transforming texture of blush. The moment that this brief for YSL would have been issued, there would have been a decision on how many shades and what types of shades they want to launch. Right then and there, that brief goes all the way to the supplier. This was made in France. It's likely that they would have done this in-house because L'Oreal owns YSL Beauty. So that means it could have been done in-house at a L'Oreal facility that manufactured it, or it could have been outsourced to a contract manufacturer that is based in France. We don't know. The blueprint of the construction of this formula base would have sat with a chemist. The chemist is going to be working on the construction of this base alongside a product developer at their facility. Also, a marketer would have been involved in this process. Together, these 3 units would have been responsible for bringing to life the sensorial aspect of the formula, which would have then driven and dictated how the chemist would have formulated this. The design of this formula was to go from a cream to a powder. As the chemist was developing this formula base, they would have had the opportunity to sample this base before they submit it to the product development and marketing teams to see if it would get approved. There was a moment during the development process that the chemist could have said, this formula base would not show up on women with darker skin tones. Opportunity 1. Through the development process, they would have had multiple rounds of revisions, anywhere from 3 to 10. We don't know how many versions they did, but each of those versions provided an opportunity for the chemist, the product development team, and the marketing team to say, this is too light, too white. That did not happen because this is the final base and shade that was approved. Once this base gets approved, versions in little jars typically find themselves on set. This set is usually comprised of the creative teams, makeup artistry teams that were hired to paint the faces of the women that were going to represent the campaign. There's also creative directors that are in charge of the graphics and what we call post-production. So there's a pre-production team, there's a production team, and there's a post-production team. 3 different teams all have different roles. The pre-production phase, their job is to receive samples of this blush and to create mood boards of what type of imagery and what type of models will be cast. The people that decided which type of models were cast could have chosen models with lighter skin to actually properly communicate the fact that this will not work on women with that deep of skin tones.
Do you think that when they got the photos, they retouched them and they altered?
They absolutely had to have retouched them. There's no other way to explain this tone on darker skin. The makeup artists during the production phase had the opportunity to share that these blushes do not show up on the women of color that were cast by the pre-production team. Likely could have, but we don't know. Finally, post-production phase, the marketing team is responsible for working with the creative team that is retouching the photos of the campaign and that is providing the retailers and even their own .com the information. That's when the marketing team had the opportunity again to rectify the language that they chose to use, which was very intentionally universal when we know that this is not. So that's another opportunity that the company had to actually stop this from coming to market with language that suggested it worked for universal skin tones. We're not done. The retailer had the opportunity to sample this product and say, guess what? This is not universal. You cannot represent it as such.
Does the retailer care because they just want to make sales?
The retailer wants to make sales. Should have been well aware that this wouldn't work, even just looking at it, because they work in the beauty industry. They should know that. I've been involved in the way that a product comes from ideation to the retail sales floor, so I know the steps. That's why I understand how many opportunities existed for this blush to be marketed differently. Now we're at a point where we need transparency from the brands more than ever before, and we need to elevate the education at every single touch point because it becomes an issue of racism, because it's breeding hate and polarization in the beauty communities. Anything that does that within any culture or society is not something that is going to help us move forward. It's going to create divisiveness. Ultimately, these beauty products are designed to be weapons of empowerment. They're not meant to be tools to gaslight. I think that together as a community, we need to demand that YSL makes a statement explaining to us how this got through so many touch points and why they decided to call a blush that's clearly not universal. I think if YSL just owned what happened here, it would be very, very healing. I'm well aware that I'm a white woman and I'm talking about these things. I do also identify as a lesbian, which is a marginalized identity. We empathize because of our intersectional identities. It's not a coincidence that we're the lipstick lesbians, because we need to reclaim and honor what it means to be a queer woman who actually is feminine and wears makeup. Ultimately, we all want the same thing. We all want to feel beautiful and included and not gaslit. It's that simple. Remember, together, we will make this change happen.
So lovely is this YSL company decided to launch a blush. They launched this blush, and on their advertisement, the website, they actually indicated that the Ssed blush and the shade is suitable for every skin type, like the way it is actually advertised in the website. They even went as far as using a black model to actually convince people that, oh, this is just a universal, like this suits everyone, like even if you're pan colored, black, like any shade of person, like any shade of color can actually wear the Ssed blush. And they decided to send this product out to beauty influencers and all of that, which they sent to Gloria. And you send this product to people, to influencers, for them to give you a honest review, like a honest one. So it gets to the point of the Gloria. Gloria is someone that is known for her, you have inclusion, like you have to include, like she's always fighting against the way at which Black women are being treated in terms of, beauty standards and all of that. So when it sent her own package, she decided to, test it and see how it works, which she actually gave her own review. And the review that she gave is actually not sitting well to other people. They started bashing her. They started, calling her names like, why must you, make everything all about race? Why must you, the way it is, the way, even if they know that what they are doing is wrong, they know that there is a discrimination in anything that has to do with, beauty and all of that. But when you want to call it out, you becomes the problem. You become a loud, aggressive, Black woman, because you're actually telling the truth. Like, they just want you to take in and accept everything that you are given to, even if you see that this does not really work out for people that looks like her. You want her to come out and lie. Like, this set of pan colored people actually want her to come out and lie that, oh yeah, this is so cool for every other. She just the way at which the company have advertised it. That means you are not actually looking for, a honest review. You are looking for someone that will just, take in whatsoever that you are dashing out there or you are giving out there. But she decided to, do her business just to maintain her brand and what her brand stands for. But it's not sitting well for some pan-colored people. They decided to drag her, call her names like she's just trying to bring someone's company to the mood and all of that. And the way at which, the beauty standard, with all of the controversy that have been going around, the problem with Euphoria, the problem with Event Network and all of that, it's made a lot of people to, start purchasing that to actually see if what Gloria was saying was wrong. But it's actually came out that Gloria was right. Why would you advertise something claiming that it's universal? You even went as far as, putting a model, like a Black model, to represent, Black skin colored people and all of that. But meanwhile, it is all a lie, and someone decided to like call you out for that, like this does not really work, this is not something you're selling, that what you are telling at the website is actually the other way around. Like why wouldn't you come out, transparent and stop lying? But it didn't really sit well to some people. People were calling up, Gloria. People were like, oh my gosh, she's not a good influencer, all because she decided to stand on the right path. As you guys see some of the stitches that I put here together, a lot of people even were like, okay, this is just a lie, this does not match, it doesn't even suit. It actually suits some albino people. Were actually testifying that it actually suits some albino looking type of skin. But this is what you want, black people to use. You want black women to patronize you, but you keep on discriminating against these people. Like I don't understand the reason why they have to put the picture of a black lady. Meanwhile, that is not it. This is deceit. But all because a black woman decided to stand up and speak up, some people are finding it, people are not finding it funny. Like some people are against that because she stood up to like, okay, this is not it. People are seeing, some pan-colored women are seeing it as if, she wanted to destroy someone else's business. Like even without that, a lot of people know exactly the way at which this beauty standard works. They discriminate against everything. That is the reason why there is a need for a black-owned businesses to stand up there. This is the reason why there is an urgent need, an urgent call for black women, black men. If you're in the beauty standard, like if you're in the beauty thing, like market your own product. Because enough of all this, oh my god, oh, product this, product that, makeup this, makeup that, as if black women are just begging to be included in whatsoever thing. Like I don't understand. Do you know there is a black lady that actually owns a jewelry brand? She launched this jewelry brand, and she was like, she's dedicating this jewelry brand to black women, with the beauty thing and how it's discriminatory. And a lot of pan-colored women are also not finding it funny. They're all out talking about how, oh my god, this is so rare and cis, like you don't want to include us. But you guys are the first people to discriminate against black women. You are the first people to like, okay, you don't want to have a space including black women. But when these women decided to create something for themselves, it becomes a problem. It becomes, oh my god, oh, but you are the first people. This is the problem. They like it when they keep on doing something, then expect you to turn blind eyes not to see what they're actually doing. Like, oh my god. But when you find out, they expect you not to speak a word. They just expect you to keep on taking in whatever thing that they bring. Like, it is really hard time black women need to like put it up there. I am very, very open. Like if you have a brand, I could just put it on my description. Like I could just help market it for you. Like I'm all here for black businesses. Seriously, like it's enough. All of this, oh my god, I'm not included. Like it's as if black women or black people are now begging to be included. It's very clear that they don't want it. Seriously. Anyway, lovelies, when I saw this video, I decided that okay, let me just chip in my own and actually know what you guys thought of this video. Subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that. Please leave your thought in the comment section, share this video, and I will see you.
I've watched up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please don't forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.